The words we use to talk about texture are sometimes a little bit complicated and daunting, but they're much easier to remember if we work out what the words actually mean. So the first type of texture that we're going to have a look at is something called a monophonic texture. And there you go, that's an example of one of these slightly long and daunting words that we will come up against when we look at texture in music. So what does monophonic mean exactly? Well, let's break this down into two chunks. Let's look at first mono. Now, mono means, just like mono sound, if you remember, well, maybe you don't remember, but before stereo and before Dolby surround sound, we used to have mono, and that meant that there was one source of sound coming to you, and that's what mono means. It means one. And the other part of the word, this phonic bit, this bit here, just like telephone, phonic means sound. So if we put these two bits together, monophonic really means one sound. A monophonic texture is probably one of the simplest textures that we're going to come across in any type of music, because, just as the name suggests, it's made up of one sound or one melody. And so, say someone was singing a simple song by themselves or playing a tune on a flute or a violin, chances are the music they would be creating would be monophonic. In other words, the music only has one strand that we can grasp onto. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a soloist. We could have lots of different people singing the same thing, and that would also be monophonic as a texture. Some of the earliest music is monophonic. If we think back to how music really got started, it was mostly monks chanting to mark important moments in religious services and special times of the religious calendar. And the way they would do this would be to use a very simple chant melody to sing some important text from scripture. Now, as time moved on, composers wanted to break away from just having such a simple monophonic texture to their music, and they wanted to start to add other things into the mixture. Once we start doing that, we end up with some different textures.